Hi there, it's Adam bringing you another video to the channel. This is update number 10 in the 21-22 UK Model Airport series. And before we get into the update, just a little bit of curiosity. Just wondering where you guys buy your models from, which, especially if in the UK, which UK retailer do you use the most? The reason I ask is because back in the day, I used to well, look, I've used each well-known UK retailer in my time. It might just be what they stock, depending on certain manufacturers that they stock, or again specific models that might be exclusive to them. But yeah, I've used Aircraft Model Store, Air Spotters, Aviation Retire Direct. I think I might have used Wings 400 and Bedfordshire Diecast in sort of recent times as well, just for like one or two orders. Again, probably more so for exclusive sort of stock or whatever. I used to use Aircraft Model Store a lot, like they were my go-to retailer. I just felt like they come on the scene, they offered better pricing, certainly back in the day, more competitive pricing, and also with the membership it worked out a lot, it worked out better for me as an individual to save money essentially. So yeah, I used to love Aircraft Model Store. Then they kind of hit like a bit of a spell where the customer service went downhill, in my opinion. I had no end of issues with orders. I used to pre-order models and then they'd be like, oh no, we can't stock that model, that they've sold out. Do you know what I mean? And it was frustrating because then you'd feel like there were times where I'd actually miss out on being able to get a model. I'd then be panicking, thinking, where else can I get that model? Like, you go on the Air Spotters or Aircraft Model Store, and they'd be sold out, and I'd be like, well, I might have guaranteed one if I'd have ordered with them. Anyway, look, I ain't used Aircraft Model Store or really any of the UK retailer for quite some time now to order my models. Yeah, I just haven't bothered. I think pricing is not ideal. And yeah, I've been kind of blessed with a contact that has helped me more than I can possibly wish for, to be quite honest. But recently I had an email from Ben at Aircraft Model Store reaching out to me to sort of try and entice me back into using his services. Not really possible with the sort of the amount of models that I've currently got on order sort of elsewhere. So but he did highlight that I do have points on my account to spend, and I was really looking for, I think in one of the last two, either the last update or the update before that, I mentioned about looking at bringing other airlines, and one of them was Ethiopian Airlines. So they had one of their models in stock. I redeemed the points, but my disappointment was that I had like over 6,000 points, but I could only redeem 4,000. To me, that's just a little bit disappointing because ultimately I've accumulated all them points, but I can only redeem so many, and to redeem the other ones, I've then got to probably order something else. Do you know what I mean? Whereas ultimately, I probably could have used them all at the same time. Anyway, that was one matter, and then the other matter was the amount they were charging for postage. I'm trying to use my points to save on models, and they were adding like £2 extra or something onto the actual postage. So postage is like £7 just for one 400 model for a 48-hour service with Royal Mail. So look, I've sent with 48-hour Royal Mail before, and it's never been £7. I think maximum £4 at most, probably £3 something to be exact. So yeah, again, I was a little bit disappointed. Obviously I reached out to them trying to figure out why that is. Supposedly, if I've read this correctly, with the response from Ben, I'm sure he advised that something like they had like an extra £2 charge for anything less than £20, which I find a bit sort of odd. Do you know what I mean? Maybe somebody can enlighten me on that. I don't know, or if I've got that mistaken, I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't really understand that. Anyway, since then, you know, the timing of the response, again, the customer service just doesn't seem that efficient, to be quite honest. And by the time they got back to me, and I was kind of thinking, right, well, I'm going to have to just do whatever I can. The model that I wanted, which was one of the Ethiopian models, had sold out. So, you know, I'm still a little bit. So basically, I've still got my points on my account because I can't use them. There's not a model really that I want to buy, and the one model that I did want to buy, which is the Ethiopian A350, has now sold out. It's one of them things, but again, I think that's down to the efficiency of the customer service response time. So, look, I'm just going to leave the points there. Like I said, the voucher that I've already redeemed, it'll just have to, hopefully, I don't know if it expires. I mean, if it expires, then I guess, again, that just sums up the service with them. Look, you know, kind of, it might feel like a bit of a rant, but yeah, I'm just curious, guys. Like, who do you use? Do you want to pay less for models and not really be bothered about customer service, or do you want to be paying a little bit of a higher price so that you get a more efficient customer service? Like, you know what I mean? Ultimately, you want both, but if you kind of had to choose, what would you go for? Look, like I say, I get my models supplied elsewhere now. Right? It's not an issue for me. But yeah, I'm just curious, and you know, I'm curious where you buy from, but I'm also curious about your experience. I think that's kind of what I'm getting at. So, you know, by all means, let me know in the comments, you know, where you buy your models from, and what the service is like, and what you think about the pricing. We all know pricing has gone up quite a fair bit. Not just models, but you know, in life in general, pricing is changing all the time and continuously increasing. You know, it's a bit mad in that sense. But look, that's just something I wanted to touch up on before we get into the update. A little bit of a kind of discussion with you guys, if you like. Nothing really much to add to that, but yeah, I look forward to responses. If we now get into the update, we'll start off with the Air Europa, as you can see, pushing back there. Operating as UX1014, one of the regular schedules, previously utilising Dreamliner to operate the service, but this time we're using 737-800 registration, Echo Charlie Mike X-Ray Mike. Of course, we'll be heading back out to Madrid. Just zoom in slightly. And then if we transition a bit closer to these models lined up, we have the SAS Scandinavian CRJ 900 operating as SK539540, registration Echo Sierra Alpha Charlie Golf. This is operating a service from and to Copenhagen. We have the based EasyJet A319, which has had a long stay over while all the rest of the based aircraft have already departed. This is on a later departure time, around 10:10, heading out to Pula as U28909. This will probably rotate with another model on its return from Pula. So in the coming updates, we will see a different EasyJet operating the schedules this would be operating. And then beyond that, in the background, we have the LOT Polish 737 MAX 8 registration Sierra Papa Lima Victor Alpha as LO281, operating as a service from and to Warsaw. Just touch up on the LOT Polish. I'm still waiting for the other LOT Polish SP LVB, but I realise as well that there's also the Independence livery, which is a different registration, which is actually still, or was active during this time period. which is registration SPLVD. So I might be looking to get that. I believe there is one on eBay, or there was one. So might potentially be looking at that to get hold of as well. Yeah, again, if we've got like a trio of the fleet there to rotate with, then that works out better. So then they're not all the same, and we've got a different variation, especially with a special livery as well. Then if we pan across onto the other side, we have this Delta Airlines 767-300 operating as DL208 from New York. We'll then head out as DL123 to Boston. Registration November 1201 Papa. This is a fairly new model, I believe, from Gemini Jets. There's quite a few. Yeah, I've got quite a few Deltas now. I do primarily only collect 757s, 767s for the sort of, transatlantic routes. But yeah, I think there's a few more actually on the way. I think NG announced some of the newer livery. Oh no, sorry, that's United that I'm thinking about. Although no, I do believe NG also did some Deltas as well. So yeah, there will be a few more coming into the collection. But no, a nice representation there from Gemini. And then beyond that, I think previously this was operated on the other side, but again, managing the stands and where aircraft would park and what schedules are on and things like that, we've decided to position this Air France E190 on this side, operating as AF1058 from and to Paris. Registration Foxtrot Hotel Bravo Lima Romeo. And then on the far side we have this Cliterair 747-400, registration N740 Charlie Kilo. This is operating on the same flight number, comes in from Leipzig and heads back out to Los Angeles. This is a scheduled route, another scheduled cargo service. I think it operates throughout the week. I'm not sure if it's Tuesday to Friday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But again, there will be a variation of aircraft that might utilise this route. So again, in each update, it won't just be the same aircraft or aircraft type operating the service. Yeah, I am, like I said, look, I think the last update we didn't really have any cargo. Obviously this is more towards like a 10 o'clock kind of period, 10 past 10 kind of period to be more exact ish. Next update will focus more on 1 o'clock time kind of period. As I said, the EasyJet will rotate. I think one of the Jet 2s as well. I think the Jet 2 757, that'll probably rotate. And potentially maybe the 2s as well. We'll rotate them as well. But yeah, like I said, where possible, as we transition through to each update, we will try and find the best way to keep each video sort of interesting. Yeah, just going back to start a video, as well, like if you want to drop in the comments, sort of your thoughts on who is the best UK retailer. I think more so, I'm kind of looking for your experience with Aircraft Model Store, because I'm not overly happy with the experience I've had over the sort of more the recent years, but it is what it is. Not really something I need to worry about, but at the same time, I do have points to spend, and obviously I need to, ultimately want to find a model to spend them on. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, and we will be back with another update next weekend.